In a quiet desert in March 1991, right after the Persian Gulf War had ended, Troy Barlow and his friends see an armed man waving the gun around at a distance. The young soldiers are unsure if they should fire at him at this point when the war is over. The young man is shot by Troy anyway, and they approach his body very curiously, revealing that they're amateurs. Back at the camps, young troops celebrate the end of the war by singing and dancing around. The main characters are then introduced: Troy Barlow, who's a new father; Conrad Vig, a wild boy who wants to be Troy; Major Archie Gates, who is seen hooking up with Kathy, retires in 2 weeks. The door opens and Adriana Cruz, who is a 5-time Emmy runner-up, is a bitter journalist that complains about Kathy's unacceptable behavior with Archie, who's Adriana's escort. The colonel is angry at Archie for the commotion. Back at the camp's party, the drunken boys let loose and have fun. Chief Elgin, who happens to be on a 4-month paid vacation from Detroit, informs them that their captain is coming. The captain tells them to get rid of the booze, since they're taking more Iraqi prisoners the next day. The soldiers boss the locals around, even snatching the turbans off the Sikhs. They find a man who refuses to take off his clothes, and are left with no choice but to forcefully strip him down. They find a rolled paper in between his butt cheeks. They remove it to see that it's an ambiguous map-like sketch. The colonel shouts at Major Archie, telling him that Adriana's the one he should have kept happy, instead of going around screwing with another journalist. Archie claims to not have wanted to do this work anyway, and doesn't even know what they did there. Rob orders him to respect his commands and take good care of Adriana, even if he's about to retire. Major Archie enters the tent where Trey and the chief are having a discussion. He tells them he'll take the map to the captain since they haven't shown it to him yet, to which Troy refuses stubbornly. This leads Archie to have no choice but share his plan of stealing the gold where the map leads to. He asks them to join him and leave their agitating day jobs. They agree to do it together. One of them, Walter, is ordered to distract Adriana by making her think he's taking her to Archie while the others are on the move. Archie drives as the young friends shoot footballs in the air. He asks them why they're wasting bullets, and they tell him they just want to see some action. They find a cow, and before they practice on it, it blows into pieces, stepping on a landmine, leaving them covered in blood. This goes to their safety though, since it scares everyone away once they arrive at the bunkers where the gold is hidden. They threaten the men there, asking for the location of the gold. They're told that the gold is in a bunker that's in another town. The people, who have recognized that the US are there, beg them to give them food and medication. The soldiers of Saddam try to starve them by blowing a truck with milk arriving. After leaving the town, Archie tells the others that he noticed how there's a well where soldiers wearing civilian clothes are guarding. Troy hesitates to take Archie's orders, since he has a family back home and the Iraqi soldiers are armed. He convinces them though, claiming that the soldiers there have Saddam's uprising to worry about. The camera flows to where Adriana is. She realizes that Walton's making a fool out of her and isn't taking her to Major Archie. She manages to take the vehicle from him and threatens to leave him behind if he doesn't reveal the truth to her. Walton finally admits about the bunkers, and they move to the town's direction. Upon their return to the village, Archie and the others successfully attack the guards at the well, leaving them in cuffs. The three of them enter the well as Conrad stays put. The well leads the three soldiers into an underground passage. They enter a room where a man named Saeed and other soldiers seem to be relaxing amongst various TVs and electronics. They refuse to give them any information. Archie discovers a prisoner that the Iraqis are torturing for information. His name is Amir, and there are also other rebels that are waiting for their turn. The soldier trio release the rebels, and Amir reunites with his family. Said tells the trio that Saddam finds the rebels more valuable than the riches, so he leads them to it, hoping it's enough for them to leave. In multiple suitcases, stacks of jewelry and expensive items, Archie tells them that they're not thieves here for shiny things, and instead are here to return the gold Saddam stole from Kuwait. Outside the well, the Iraqi Republican guards have arrived. They start arresting the rebels without giving Conrad any attention. Although he tells them the American army is in control of the area, the three soldiers exit the well with the gold. Troy steals a truck and even gets help from the Iraqi army in loading it, since all they seem to want is for the Americans to go. As they're about to leave without any other interference, Archie sees an Iraqi guard shoot Amir's wife from earlier. He tells the Iraqi guards to leave the rebels alone, which leads to them firing at each other. A few of the Iraqi guardsmen are killed, which makes the rest surrender. Troy is shot in the chest, but luckily survives thanks to his bulletproof vest. Archie proceeds to load the rebels on the truck and the vehicle they arrived with, regardless of Troy's objection. Unfortunately, as they're trying to leave the area, Iraqi reinforcements arrive. They throw bombs onto the cars and the drivers lose sight of the road, entering the part where landmines are randomly buried. Two of the kids from the rebel group they're trying to save start running towards the dangerous mines, and Troy follows them, leading him to get captured. The rest of the team, along with the gold, are rescued by a group of rebels that live underground. Chief Elgin punches Conrad, who's upset by Troy's disappearance, in an attempt to stop him from doing something that could risk all their lives. They fight until the rebels drag them into the shelter. The rebels try to steal an Iraqi tank, which distracts the guards and gives Troy time to escape to freedom. He's caught and thrown into a room where they give him new clothes instead. Amongst the various electronics in the room, Troy discovers phones that actually work. He calls an emergency line, but is left hopeless since the operator doesn't believe him. He then calls his wife back home. After checking on her and their baby's safety, he asks her to call the American base to inform them of his location. He tells her he loves her before guards enter and take the phone away. Adriana arrives at the village and starts broadcasting the story. The guards there take Walter's uniform and send them away. Back at the camps, Colonel stops his soldiers from giving Kathy any more information that they already have. He wonders if she knows about Archie's whereabouts, which leads the other soldiers to admit that he left with 3 other soldiers with the map. The colonel orders them to use the radio and find them. In the underground bunkers, the rebels take care of the soldiers' wounds. Elgin and Conrad resolve their issues. They check the gold, which misses a few, but is still a lot and enough to make them rich for a long time. Amir tells Archie that Troy's been taken to a bunker named Oasis and that there's no radio or water where they are right now. Since the treaty says that the American army can't get involved with the uprising, Archie resists Amir's request to help them cross to Iran for a refugee camp. He only offers the rebels a part of the gold in return for guidance to the Oasis bunker and help in retrieving the rest of the gold. Amir asks Archie to look at his daughter and tells him she'll be slaughtered like her mother if they leave them behind. This touches Archie's heart, leaving him to ask how many of them they'd be helping. Amir tells him there's 55 underground rebels if they don't count the priests. They offer the soldiers weapons, as Conrad reveals that he still has the bombs hidden in the balls from earlier. Back in the village, Troy is seen being painfully electrocuted as Saeed interrogates him. He starts by asking what the problem with Michael Jackson is, that Americans had to make him change his skin. He asks the question to conclude that Americans hate black men the same way they hate the Arab kids they bomb here. He tells Troy that since they ruined the agreement and Stoll shot at them, none of the U.S. armies would come to save him. Troy confesses to being a father, which Saeed also claims to be. He tells Troy that he joined Saddam's army to protect his family, which were all bombed by the Americans. He asked him to imagine it happening to his own family, which Troy admits is better to die than witness. Walking through the desert, the rebels accompanied by the American soldiers come across Saddam's deserters, who welcome them happily. Archie asks their leader to lend them a few of the luxury cars they stole from Kuwait, asking to stand up with them against Saddam's army. But the leader doesn't want to give the cars for free, which leaves them no choice but to sell some of the gold. At the camp, a soldier tells Colonel that Troy's wife has sent them his location. Walter tries to flirt with Adriana, who turns him down, claiming she's never had to be on her knees for a job. They're lost and unsure of what to do next. Back in the interrogation room, Saeed tells Troy that American specialists taught him weapons and sabotage. He goes on to ask about Troy's mission there. The two of them have a disagreement when he tells Saeed that he's there to help the Kuwaits, claiming what Saddam's army did there is worse than the Americans bombing Iraq. This upsets Saeed, forcing Troy to drink oil. Amir and Archie devise a plan to enter the Oasis bunker, using the one thing the Iraqi Republican guards fear, which is Saddam. They organize the cars to make them seem like they're accompanying him. One of the rebels with them is dressed as an Iraqi guard and screams saying Saddam's angry at them. This scares away a few of them, but a few of them don't believe this and attack. Amir and Elgin enter and rescue several of the prisoners there, as Archie saves Troy. He kills everyone but Saeed so Troy can have his moment with him. Even though this was a great moment to have his revenge, Troy sympathizes with Saeed and spares his life, shooting on the wall instead. Outside, a helicopter approaches to protect the bunker from its attack, which is immediately destroyed when Elgin throws Conrad's bombed ball. Amir is embraced by Troy, who's finally willing to help the locals. Unbeknownst to the celebrators, 2 Iraqi guards have escaped and managed to shoot at Troy and Conrad. Troy's lung is punctured, but he survives with Archie's help. Sadly, though, Conrad dies and Troy is left to grieve his loss. Amir distributes the gold with the rebels and their families. The Americans' half is buried to be picked up in the near future. Elgin finds a radio which they use to call Walter and tell him where they are. Archie wants Adriana to record them, helping the rebels and bring 4 other trucks from the camp. Since the colonel is too busy trying to reach the location where Troy's wife led them, Adriana and Walter easily take the trucks from the base and rescue Archie's team and the rebels. They reach the Iranian border, which is secured by none other than the Iraqi Republican Guard. Since the American soldiers are there, though, the guards let them through as Adriana films everything. Suddenly, the colonel arrives through a helicopter and arrests Archie, Troy, and Elgin and stops Adriana's from recording. boarding. This leaves the Iraqi guards the freedom to capture the rebels. After seeking the approval from the others, Archie drops a bar of gold from a bag one of the rebels dropped. He tells Colonel that it was a deal he made with the rebels, causing him to order his men to free and help the rebels cross the border. Archie, Troy, and Elgin reveal the location of the remaining gold, but are still arrested for breaking the treaty and helping the uprising. Fortunately, Archie thought right, and Adriana's report discharges them in honor. The movie ends as we see where the three are now. Elgin left his job to work with Archie, who is now a military advisor for movies. Troy has a second baby and owns a carpet company now. Iraq returned the gold to Kuwait, which claimed that some of it was missing. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.